Hey everybody, Hostrone here. It's another first edition Friday. I'm back from vacation. I hope you enjoyed my last video where I went over the cards that had been brought back with the February um, first Monday of the month game changes. So 7 cards essentially came back into the game. One of the cards that we lost to all of the bans that occurred in January was Orb Experience. And this deck that I had played in November, basically like right before winter takes over here in the upper Midwest of the United States, kind of my last chance to play it. It had been a deck that had been on my radar of a deck that I would play at Worlds if I had gone to Worlds, or at Continentals if I'd gone to Continentals. I'd kind of put it together back in the spring of 2023 and was just kind of holding on to it. I didn't really want to play it before a major event because once an opponent sees it, they have maybe a better idea, and then you have to start playing that whole which missions do I do game with it. Not that it necessarily matters, because what this deck does is it scans the opponent's dilemmas so it knows what personnel to switchblade for and to pass dilemmas efficiently. So it did so by doing recover stolen material to seed the Orb of Wisdom at Bajor, and then you would use the seeded reshape the quadrant, which gets you the hereby invitation, and then the once per game downloaded objective to get return up to Bajor onto Benjamin Sisko, who you downloaded with defend homeworld on the first turn. He then, with one of the Bajorians that you undoubtedly draw in your opening hand, or you just card play download them if you don't get one randomly. And then they and another person that you have free played will attempt Bajor. They will encounter the orb first. They immediately acquire it, and then they immediately trigger the return orb to Bajor, so they get 10 points and the 3 card draws, and that's before you even faced the first dilemma. Then the people you attempted with they'll just have to face that first dilemma. So smart opponents will try to make you pay for that a little bit. But as my opponents found out, whatever hit they deal to you in that first dilemma is probably not going to matter. The deck can quickly recover from pretty much anything. In my round against Chris, he had Jolly Chew kill Ben Sisko and General Krim, and by the time I was mission solving, I had them back into play again. So you really don't have to worry. I mean, in one of the games, I just kind of felt like it was the best thing to do because my opponent really didn't seem like their deck was going to threaten me too quickly. So in one of the games I played, I actually backed off to kind of see how the deck would respond if I didn't do it on the first turn, and it really didn't change a whole lot. So I definitely came to the conclusion that you just pile drive that first mission right away, get the orb and get going is kind of the best thing to do. So what this deck does is it acquires that orb that quickly, and then it can, in the Orb of Wisdom, gives you another free play with your orb personal presence. You have enough in the deck, you're not going to have trouble. You can always card play download one of the others, one of the others that's not Benjamin Sisko. You can download Kaiopaka. You can I don't think you can download Kaiopaka. You can download Vedic Dax though, for sure. And you download Vedic Dax by having one of your first card draws with the Orb of Wisdom, with the return up to Bajor, 3 draws immediately. You download the Bajoran Temple out of the Q-Stand. Sorry, the Bajoran Shrine. And then that means that it opens you up on turn 2 to doing basically, orb processing, as we say, where you're going to put one card in the discard pile, put the bottom card of the discard pile back underneath the deck or out of play, and then draw 2 because you have an orb artifact present. And you can just have that download Vedic Dax. Because Prylers, Vedex, and Kais may report here, so then Ops will allow you to download one there. So, okay, so it's not a problem. That's just kind of how the deck gets going, and then it accumulates orb experience. It would accumulate orb experiences, and then use orb experiences to look at all the dilemmas, and then have a good idea of what the opponent's throwing. You didn't even necessarily have to see all of them. If you saw, you just needed to feel like you saw enough of them that you could plow through the difficult stuff and then get to the end. So you would typically look at the first and second dilemma, or first, second, and third dilemmas, if there was 4 underneath, in order to see what the opponent was doing, and then you could just manipulate your way through, okay, with the personnel. And then of course with We Need You Here, you're gonna still be able to draw cards even if you're downloading a person as your card play. So you were able to use that plus Trust the Prophets to get any of your Fed or Deep Space Nine personnel, and they pretty much make up almost the entirety of your personnel selection, and so you don't really have any difficulty getting exactly who you want. Nearly everybody is downloadable with a site once you have all the sites in your deck into play, because you have Bajoran Shrine, the Orb Processing Unit, and Quark's Bar in the Q's Tent to get out with the We Need You Here, so you'll have 9 sites in play. You have your end of turn card draw. You get Benjamin Sisko, hopefully, or Vedic Dax into the Temple so that they draw a card with the Celestial Temple. You use Group Therapy to get the Jack Pack into play. Patrick gets you Surprise Party. Lauren gets you Life Simple Pleasures to draw 3 cards. And that's kind of how you feel the draws and feel all the free plays and stuff like that. Now, again, Orb Experience was banned and now it's been brought back. If you watched my last video, I went over what the change to that is. So, how do we play this deck? How do we make changes to the deck since we don't have Orb Experience in the same way? We can't just Orb Experience 3 times, right? Or 4 times, or 5 times even. You're only going to get once per orb now. Well, we have the 1 orb, so that gives us 1 scan, right? As I talked about in that video with this deck, you move Deep Space Nine to a space mission, and that gives you a scan of the first dilemma at the space mission. So there's 2 scans, and then what we've done with the deck is we've added in a few more interrupts that allow us to do either nullification or some more scanning. So we've actually added 2 copies of preparation. So with this, if you have 4 different classifications of a mission you have not attempted, you can still have glanced at dilemmas underneath it. You can glance at the bottom seed card. You can also nullify lack of preparations, which would still lose the points. But the important thing is, though, is that with preparation, it becomes a scan at our 2nd mission. So what we're planning on doing is we're planning on attempting characterized neutrino missions once we've moved Deep Space Nine there, and then we go to the Gamma Quadrant and we attempt the mission we have chosen our off-cell base to be seated at. Any 3 of these missions are a viable option, so the opponent cannot necessarily just anticipate you're going to do one over the other. You can choose whichever one you want. Since it's a self-siege, you would know how many dilemmas are seated there before the opponent, or after the opponent has seated their dilemmas there. So you know how many dilemmas are there. So in this case, we would seed our off-cell base here because even though it's farthest away, our opponents only put 2 dilemmas there. They're trying to front load us over here, probably with their best stuff. And then they probably are worried about pacify warring factions, and then Iconian Gateway is the mission closest to Bajoran Wormhole. So they're thinking that this might be the mission that we're going to have the hardest time with. Or at the very least, we might be a turn slower getting to it, and that's fair. That would be a fair thing to think. But if the opponent's going to put less dilemmas there, then that's just what we're going to do. We are not worried about dead end with this deck, not really, because they would have to know they got to put dead end here at characterize neutrino emissions. If an opponent does, we can just do alter records and pacify warring faction for the win. So they would have. So an opponent's going to have to put a dead end at characterize neutrino emissions, and they're going to have to try to entice you putting your dilemmas somewhere else, or putting your off-sale vase somewhere other than pacify warring factions. So just keep that in mind when you play the deck. That's a strategy consideration, but your opponent has to be playing with that end, and they have to be playing with like less than 17 dilemmas possibly. And realistically, if they're going to do all of that, you might just end up solving alter records and solving whatever mission in the Gamma Quadrant, and then just coming back and blowing through whatever they have left at characterized neutrino missions faster, like in about the same amount of time anyway. So they don't necessarily gain anything by doing that to you. So it's just one of those things to be mindful of as far as like the push and pull of the strategy is concerned. So for the purposes of this video, what we're going to do is we're going to not see the off-sale vase at investigate Omicron particles. What we're going to do is we're going to just hedge that bet against dead end, and we're going to still seed it at pacify warring factions. Okay. It'll also give us a chance to stress test the deck by having to go through one more dilemma. But if you play the deck, you may want to strongly consider in a situation like this putting it underneath here, because there's only 2 dilemmas here. So we would actually see 1 dilemma here, and then be able to possibly guess what's behind it, or at the very least deal with it efficiently. And then we can use preparation here, and then we have the orb to choose whether or not we want to do this second dilemma or this second dilemma, depending on what we see. All right. It's also possible that once we move Deep Space Nine over to here, we would see there's a dead end here possibly, like right off the bat, and we would know we have to get off script and just go right over here to the space mission, or go right over here to pacify warring factions. So this is kind of plan A, is to put the off-sale vase here, but you can do it at any of the missions if you feel like strategy-wise you're not going to encounter a dead end at characterize neutrino missions. There's a lot of decks that are not going to put it at characterize neutrino missions because they want to try to force you off Bajor. So there's that to consider as well. All right, so that's kind of what we're doing then. Then we have 2 copies of Renewed Spirit. That kind of gives us not so much of a free look, but it gives us a free nullification of a combo dilemma. Of course, combo scow is popular. Combo of the Mila combo, where they follow up the download with distracting display. I think it's entertaining display, and then they follow it up with the combo Trellian Plague Ship. Well, you can just nullify the Trellian Plague Ship with Renewed Spirit, and you're not going to lose anybody. Yeah, Renewed Spirit just basically shuts that down. There's a few combo dilemmas in the Squire's rules build, like the Nagilum one, and then of course the aforementioned ones. They all can show up in Squire's rules as well. So there's plenty of targets for the Renewed Spirit, but there's going to be games where you don't even play this card. But we've kept 3 copies of Orb Experience. We've done 3. May want to push it to 4. If you want to like pull a Renewed Spirit, you can. That might be something that you want to do. You may want to pull a preparation. May want to pull a preparation, but realistically, like 3 Orb Experiences are going to probably be enough. Because if you draw 2 of them, you then need to get through the mission in order to be able to use the second one. Which brings me to the other thing we're doing with the deck, is we are going to be playing with a second orb. So we are going to play with the Orb of Prophecy and Change that we're going to seed underneath Bajor. Seed underneath Characterize Neutrino missions. The mission itself allows us to seed orb artifacts here, And so that overrides the normal rule that you can't seed an artifact under a space mission. So we do get the Orb of Prophecy and Change underneath here. So if we do get a second copy of Orb Experience, we can use it. Other than that, the deck more or less works exactly the same as the previous version. In the Q's tent, we still have exactly the same cards that we did before. Like, we haven't changed anything there. We haven't changed the deck really in any way other than that. It really isn't a whole lot of changes. I mean, it's still the same package here and stuff like that. So we'll just kind of do a quick fishbowl here. And that will allow us to kind of see maybe how things go. So, right off the bat, we've got a Deep Space Nine Bajoran that we can play. We have another Deep Space Nine personnel. What we really want is the free draw off of Turbo Lift if we can get it. But we do need to get a Bajoran into play somehow. So I think this is what we're going to do then. We're going to go... we're going to free play Lauren. That'll trigger a draw with primary Turbo Lift. We are going to... We're just going to go ahead and card play Neela. And then we're going to defend Homeworld and get Benjamin Sisko. Benjamin Sisko will walk to the office and he is going to download Return Orb to Bajor onto himself. Alright, this is a little dangerous. This is a little dangerous, but we are going to just go ahead and beam down to Bajor with these three. And we're just going to hope that we just don't lose. Well, I mean, obviously we can get them back, so we're not really too concerned, of course. But it just kind of sucks to not have a free play with the Chamber of Ministers at all. That kind of blows. Okay, so we beam down. We attempt, we encounter our orb first that we seeded with the Recover Stolen Material. We instantly acquire that with Return Orb to Bajor. It instantly joins the group. This completes automatically. We score the 10 points instantly, and we draw 3 cards. As I said before, we'll run the first one through We Need You here. Because we have multiple Quarks. We have multiple people for Quark's bar free plays, and we don't have a single... We just don't have a single Vedic yet. I think what we're going to do is we're going to download Quark's bar first. And then we'll take 2 draws beyond that. And then we find a Vedic finally. And then we have to face the first dilemma. First dilemma is M113. They have to kill Ben Sisko or they have to kill Lauren. They're just going to kill Ben Sisko because why not? And then we do continue. And we bounce off Temptations of the Flesh. We're just going to assume the opponent has multiple objectives in play. We also have multiple objectives in play. So we would have 2 get stopped no matter what. Then the opponent has to kill Lauren at the end of turn. We will draw 1 to end the turn, but we've seen 2 dilemmas here. And when that happens, we may want to think about backing off characterized neutrino emissions, because we now know what's going to come here. We also have to be mindful of the fact that we need 2 exobiology, or we're just going to keep losing people. So that's something that we have to be mindful as well. We do have 1 with Serena. We don't have 1 with Vedic Sorad. but we can easily get a second one, I think. Because we can free play Serena as a Deep Space Nine, and then we can card play download one. I believe Vedic Dax is one, and so we'll get to that when we get there. So we'll go end of turn, and we'll just take the card draw, and that's one turn. Opponent has their turn, and this counts down one. And it's and if every player's turn kills one of that person's people, so she doesn't die. So we get to our turn, and we do that. We go Serena for free, Deep Space Nine at Promenade Shop. So we'll run that through. We need you here to get the Shrine into play. We can play Rom for free. We can play either the Kai or the Vedic for free. Let's go with the Kai onto Bajor. And then let's go ahead and download Vedic Dax. Yep, she has exobiology. She is science. So she also just downloads with the science lab. We don't even need the Bajoran Shrine, but we just wanted the Bajoran Shrine anyway. We cure that immediately, so turn 2 we have one dilemma beaten, we have one dilemma seen. And so again, with the decision to stick with Pacify Warring Factions, that's working out for us. So this is just kind of the reason why Pacify Warring Factions kind of is your primary choice for the Othel base. Okay. Then what we can do is we just beam up, we put people together in the shrine. We have a Vedic present with a Bajoran, so we're going to just go ahead and put Jake Sisko on the bottom of the deck, and we're going to draw 2. That's pretty good. And end of turn, we're going to draw a card at the end of turn, and we are going to use the group therapy to get Patrick. And that's turn 2. Turn 3. We go with Lita for free to the bar. Patrick for free with Deep Space Nine, that draws us a card. We get Vedic Sorad for free with the Chamber of Ministers. We get a free play of Loxana Troy with the Orb being present with the Orb personnel. And then we have an actual card play, which will be the Orinoco. It will special download the Explore Gamma Quadrant. Alright, we're going to Orb Experience. We're going to Orb Process here. I think Paulson can probably go to the bottom of the deck. Sorry, I did that wrong. They go to the discard pile. So, sorry, I'm a little discombobulated here right now. So, the last one we did was Jake. So Jake would be here, she would be here, this would be removed, Ben Sisko would be on the bottom of the deck. And then we would draw 2 cards. That's pretty good. So we do have First Minister Shakar in the deck. We haven't downloaded anybody this turn, so we are going to just download Odo. That'll kind of shuffle the deck up as well. We have a ship that can go through. So we are going to just take the ship, and we're going to send a VIP. But let's also do some stuff here first. Let's just let's put Patrick with Serena, so that he can get surprise party into play. So then the opponent would draw 2 cards, but we're going to get an extra card draw now. Okay, so we have a VIP. We send our civilian. We send our engineer, and we send our security person, and we leave. We lost our Vedic Dax somewhere. I don't know where she disappeared to. There she is, and Rom, and her. They're all here. Kind of lose track of them. So instead of sending Odo and Neela, let's just send everybody other than, we'll keep Vedic Dax here with the Orb, and we will keep Lita here. And we're going to basically just send everybody else. Let's see what they have for skills here. We need the Nav and Science. Anybody here have Nav? Yes. Rom has Nav, of all things. Serena has Science. And so that gives us the Nav Science we need for the navigation schematic. So, we've done our orb processing this turn. So I wonder, we should maybe just take Vedic Dax. We won't get a free play next turn if we do that. We'll get a card draw this turn, but we won't get it. You know, this is where you just kind of make decisions in the moment. Yeah, we can just take Dax with. So we get on board the ship, which disappeared now as well. It's up here. Flies to here. Vedic Dax goes into the temple, and then we go through the wormhole. We've only used 1 range. We will discard. Let's discard Wharf. And then that downloads us the schematic. The schematic hits the discard pile as well, but we're not stopped, and we get to here. Pacify warring factions. And that allows us to play preparation. And so we get to see that it's a scientific method. Okay. So we need to have 3 medical, or 3 science and a medical. We have the medical 1. We have a science 1. We would actually be able to use another science off of Serena's if we can get Benjamin, or if we can get Julian Bashir and into play and stuff. But we have the second science with Vedic Dax right now. Yeah, that's kind of what we have. We have a third science with Raj and Corral in our hand as well. So, you know, we'll get there. But since they're leading off with it, it makes me very weary about what's behind it. I'd be very weary of what's behind it. We're going to use Lita. She's going to download Dabo. These don't help us. This doesn't help us anymore. We're going to wager it. And then we'll go to end. We'll just simply go to end of turn, and we're going to probe. It's an interrupt. Yep. So it's a miss. It's just removed. That goes back to the top of the deck, and we will draw 3 cards. We'll have a regular card draw in the temple card draw and the surprise party card draw. But since we now have an orb experience, we're going to take a look at the second dilemma here, and that'll give us a much better idea of maybe what they're trying to set us up for. And we'll just do that immediately. Excuse me. It's a Kazon bomb. So they're just trying to, like, make us send crappy people and then see if they catch us with their pants down. So we just need 3 security. We've already got 2 of it in play with Odo, and we have a 3rd one in hand with Vedic Kira, who will play for free on the next turn. So, yep. Alrighty. So that was turn 3. We go to turn 4, and we can play Vedic Kira for free. We can play Ranjan Karal as our card play, and that allows us to draw a card with primary Turbo Lift. And then we don't have the Orb free play, but that's okay. So, and we're going to just pass on this because it doesn't help us in any way, really. So the other thing we could have done with the Ornoko is we could have just like went back here and went through, because once we saw it, we knew what was up, and we still had the range. That's what we would have done if we were thinking. So yeah. Alright, so that gives us the ability, and it doesn't really matter anyway, because we got Vedic Kira. She's going to go into the deck, and she's just going to get us a Hidden Fighter, and that gives us the other one. Alrighty, so, Explore Gamma Quadrant. Okay, so with the personnel that we have now in play, we need a scout ship with 2 security and a scout ship with 2 engineer on board. That's not going to be difficult, because we have Rom. So we don't know what this dilemma is. We just know that we're gonna drill down to it. So we're not too worried. We have Ranjan Karal, and we've got the ability to cycle stuff back. So we're just gonna relocate, grab Vedic Dax, and go 4 range to here. We'll beam people down so we can take off with the Mekong for 2 range, because we get the established landing protocols as well with the Hidden Fighter. Alright, so we have basically everything we need here now. What we will do is we'll simply dock. We'll use the orb to orb process. It's probably just too late for Sarish Res to be relevant, I think. And we can always download him really if we need him. So we're going to discard Sarish Res. We'll put Lauren underneath the deck. And draw 2. That's pretty good. Maybe. That also means that we can just beam down the orb to the Chamber of Ministers for next turn, because then once we free play Kaiopaka, she'll instantly trigger this. Excuse me. Okay. We're going to leave Lita behind so she can Dabo at the end of turn. We will put the Explore Gamma Quadrant onto the Mekong. We'll take the Mekong and go through the wormhole, so that's 3 range. We'll unstop it by discarding the card. We're just going to discard the Defiant to replay the wormhole navigation schematic. We fly to here, and then we just simply leave. We'll leave Kai Wynn on board, and if the ship, yeah, we know they can't beat us with a god here because we have the god beat and they have nothing to set it up. So Kai Wynn stays on the ship, everybody else beams down and attempts. We have the 3 science and the medical, we have the 3 security and the cunning, and then we hit faux pas. Oh, okay. 1 VIP, 2 VIP. Want, no third VIP. She's back up on the ship. Oh, darn. Or 3 personnel with diplomacy. Yeah, we don't have that. We've got 1. We've got 2, and then of course Ranjan Kral doesn't have it. Third person's up on the ship. So we don't solve, but we didn't have range anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I mean we weren't going back through the wormhole, so it didn't really matter. So we know that they've got faux pas there. We've beaten these 2 dilemmas. So on turn 4. We've drilled down to the last dilemma, so we're going to solve pacify warring factions. We're going to be going back through the wormhole, and we know that we have to beat this dilemma, and this is the only dilemma remaining that we haven't seen yet. So then we just simply will go to end of turn. We'll risk cards with Lita on Dabo, just so that we can. So we're going to just risk that one, risk this one, and I think we can risk the Defiant at this point. Probe. Oh my goodness. How unfortunate. Back to the deck. They go away. We draw 3 to end the turn. Oh, sorry, we draw 2 to end the turn. Wow. That's really unfortunate. Okay, turn 5. Free play. Free plays to the docking ports as a freighter. We're going to just free play Miles O'Brien with the Orb now. And we are going to... we have dudes and chicks. If we play it off of this group, are we drawing through or are we downloading a chick? It is a 5 and 5 situation, so it's an otherwise, so it'd be download a chick. So we're going to do that. We're just going to download a chick with Life Simple Pleasures. Who's the best female for us to download at this point? I think it's just going to be Lauren, because then... Well, no. Because it's now in the discard pile, doesn't help us. I think Karen Lowe's is our best female, because then we can download Julian Bashir directly into play next turn if we need to. So she downloads to that group. She can just be the person, when we just put 2 engineer on board, so we just put Ram on board. We will simply attempt, we'll beat this now, and then we will solve, because we have a scout ship that has 2 engineer on board, and we have 2 security with Odo. That immediately goes to the point zone. And then we can just simply fly through for 1 range. We discard this orb experience that's not relevant anymore to wormhole navigation schematic. And then we fly to Bajor, we dock, we score these 5 points. And we draw 3 cards from that. And yes, now we are threatening to win. We are threatening the win on turn 5. We know that this is the stopping of... I'm just going to... I mean, we've now got this one in play. 3. We're going to assume they have 2. We're just going to stop 5 on that. So we want to just barrel. We're just going to barrel through this. So even Lita's going. There's no reason to do anything else besides brick attempt here with the Orb of Wisdom. Yeah, so we just beam down, we brick attempt. Okay, so pull that out. You stop, you stop, you stop, you stop, you stop. Auto continues. Friendly fire. 2 leadership, 2 security. Yeah. That was pretty good. 2 leadership, 2 security. We have that. We beat it. And then we solve and win on turn 5 because we have 2 leadership and security and honor and an attribute greater than 35, which we'll just say is cunning. So we score 35 here. We had 40 here. We have 15 here. We have 15 here. So we have 105 points on turn 5. And that's what it is. It's that right there. So, yeah. So I would say that realistically, the Orb experience is definitely toned down. The Erratitude has definitely toned it down. It's definitely not as abusive anymore. But with preparation being added in, with intelligent play and stuff like that, you get a good enough idea of what's going on, and you can just continue to just go through dilemmas intelligently, and it still makes it pretty hard for an opponent to try to stop you and stuff. So I think the deck has been toned down, but it's not so obviously abusive anymore. It's not so if an opponent wants to play with 20 dilemmas and they're putting 4 dilemmas under your best missions and stuff, then that's that is now a better way of dealing with this deck, whereas before that didn't really stop the deck, but now that might a little bit. But if you're playing against an opponent that can see 20 dilemmas, they've got 4 under all your best missions, then you're not doing alter records and pacify warring factions, and you are definitely doing characterized neutrino missions, and then going off script and doing investigate Omicron puddles or whichever one of these missions got 3 underneath it. So, and then between solving that mission for 35 and getting your 15 bonus points here, you can still beat dead end if they dead end characterized neutrino missions. So, yeah. That's the deck. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not going to post a deck list because basically the deck list is already here in this tournament. You can just find it by searching November tournaments in the Andoria region. You'll see it. And then I've gone over basically all the changes in the deck. You'll be able to piece together the few changes that were made to the deck based upon this video. And you'll be able to do that yourself. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please like the video if you did like it. Leave a comment below if you have any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions. Just to kind of make clear, in the seed deck, we have the additional Orb of Prophecy and Change. The card that was taken out was the copy of... oh my gosh, where is it? Why am I just not seeing it here? Well, it's supposed to be in here, but anyway, there is a copy of Stratagema that was seeded. I don't know why it's not showing up here. I must have just clicked on the wrong thing at some point. Oh, the Quarks Rods. Sorry, the Quarks Rods was changed to a Stratagema. So, that's the thing where the deck has this one variable seed slot. That's what it was. When I played the deck, I chose the Quarks Isolinear Rods for that tournament because of the computer crash had not been resolved. The computer crash abuse had not been resolved yet. Now that the computer crash abuse has been resolved, that the TNG board can't just use it, then instead of Quarks Isolinear Rods, you have, if you think you're going to be playing in a more battle heavy meta, you would see Stratagema instead, and you're just protected at Major from pretty much everything. But I think that seed slot can just go over to being the Orb of Prophecy and Change. But as you saw from this video, that doesn't even necessarily, it's not necessarily better either. So between those 3 options, those are the 3 options for that flex slot. You can either go with the Orb of Prophecy and Change to try to get a second Orb experience in, or you seed Quark's Rods if you think Computer Crash might be a problem, or you seed Stratagema if you think that the meta might be more battle-oriented. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I notice I've been getting some subscribers lately. I'm very happy to see you guys subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you're notified of my videos going forward. Look for another video next week. That also is a deck that will be off of one or more of the cards that was errated for February. I think it's gonna be Sherlock Holmes, but I'm not set on that yet. But just keep an eye out for it on the following Friday. So hope you enjoyed this. May the prophets be with you.